Hi, I'm Karen Francis. I'm a global career development facilitator. That's a very long term for a certification as a career advisor. I've worked with veterans and non-veterans. I help people get ready to go to work. I help people find jobs. But today I'm going to talk to you about job fairs, how to get ready for one, and what to do afterwards. So you're heading to a job fair. Let's get some truths out of the way about job fairs first. You are probably not going to get hired on the spot. This is your introduction. This is a way for you to introduce yourself and have your initial screening. It means that you're going to have to be ready. You're going to have to be ready for questions. You're going to have to be ready to tell people about yourself. It also means you're going to have to do some work before you go to the job fair. Go to the job fair website. Find the list of employers that say they're going to be there. Pick your top 5 or top 10. The companies that you know have the type of job that you are qualified for. Then go to that company's website. Under the tab labeled careers or openings or jobs, start looking at the open positions. Also look in their About Us or News tab. The best way to make a good connection with that hiring manager or the person standing behind the table at the job fair is to show that you know something about the company. Besides a big smile and a good positive attitude, bring some cards. All you need to have on there is your name, address, your LinkedIn profile, and your professional email. ilovekitties.com or onehotmama@gmail is not a professional email. Don't laugh, folks, I've seen it. Get yourself a Gmail account or a Yahoo account, preferably Gmail, that has just your name. It's a professional email address, and it also keeps the business stuff separate from the stuff from your mom. When it comes to resumes, should you bring one or not? Remember I told you were going to research that company and look for job openings? You take one of those job openings and you take the specific language of that job opening and you put that in your summary. If someone who's written a job description sees it coming back at them, it makes a connection, and that's the biggest thing you're doing when you're giving someone your resume. If you have done this kind of research and you have a resume that is specific to that company or specific to that job, take it with you. One of the reasons I'm telling you to bring something with a pocket is what you're going to collect. You're going to collect cards. When you've met with that representative, if they don't immediately give you a card, ask for one. When you've made a connection, step aside to let the next person in and write a note on the back of the card about what you talked about. Your voicemail, "Yo, talk to me," is not a professional way to answer the phone, and it's not a professional way for your voicemail. This is Jane Doe. Please leave me a message. I'll get back to you. Please remember that a future employer is getting impressions of you every single second, from the way you looked when you walked up, from your demeanor, from your clothes, from your voicemail, and from your email. After an interview, you send a thank you letter. That's a standard. After a job fair, a thank you email is not a standard, but it's a great idea. You're going to send the email, "Thank you for being at the job fair. It was a pleasure to meet you. Remember I told you to make sure that on the back of the card you write down whatever it was that made that connection, whether it was working at a cat shelter together, anything. Mention that. Make sure that in your first sentence, when you thank them for meeting at the job fair on, give the date and where you met them. Some of these people go to job fairs 2 times a week. You want to make sure they remember who you were. So make sure you put in that statement. Then you remind them that you read the job opening. Mention the job opening title, the number if they have one. No matter if you have had to go in and fill out an enormous application and attach your resume and reference letters, when you send this email to the person that you met at the job fair, attach your resume again. This way they've got something to refer to when they call that hiring manager and say, hey Joe, did you see Mark's email and application? I'm looking at his resume and I think this makes him stand out. You want to arm that person with as much information as you can. You need to send this email within 24 hours. If you wait 3 days, I'm afraid they're going to have forgotten you. They are busy people. You're busy. We understand that. But don't forget, job hunting is a full-time job all by itself. I'm going to reiterate, your email address that you are sending this from needs to be your professional one. If you have multiple Gmail accounts, make sure you're sending and replying from your professional account. I've done it. I've sent replies and suddenly realized I hit reply and it went out under my personal Gmail account. That does not look good. It also gives them information they really don't need to have. Make sure your voicemail is set up and professional. I don't know how many times I've called people and I get the message from Verizon or T-Mobile, this phone number does not have a voicemail or the voicemail is full. Make sure that you are ready to get that call. In that follow-up email, make sure you put the subject line, your name, hyphen, their company name, and the job opening title. If there wasn't a job opening title, again, your name, hyphen, job fair, at wherever it was, and date. Putting in some cute subject line is going to get you put into the recycle bin. It needs to be professional. Like I keep telling you, every little thing counts. How do you dress for a job fair? The term dress for success drives me crazy, but unfortunately it's true. You need to dress as if you're going to an interview, because you are. This is your first interview. This is your screening interview. This is not the time to come in from having worked in the yard or even from working your job in a pair of torn jeans, your old army sweatshirt, and a pair of shoes that should be left out in the barn. Gentlemen, ladies, suits. If you have a suit that is 5 years old, that's fine. Borrowing Great Uncle Harry's suit that's 30 years old with lapels this wide in bright green, please don't do that. If you don't have a suit, gentlemen, slacks. Dark color, dark gray, black, or blue. A good shirt, button shirt, not short sleeved. You look like Great Uncle Harry. And a tie, a nice, subdued tie, properly knotted. If you have multiple piercings, unless you're going for a job as a DJ, you might want to remove them. If you have tattoos, you should cover them. Some companies have a dress code. You won't know it until you get hired, but let's err on the conservative side. A jacket should be worn. Ladies, a skirt, not a micro mini, and not to your ankle. Business length, that's usually around your knees. Hose, not needed, unless, again, you have tattoos and you want to cover them. A small top or a blouse and a jacket. Jewelry, this is not the time for the chandelier earrings, a giant statement necklace, and a huge brooch proclaiming your addiction to roses. A small army pin, navy pin, whatever, especially at a veterans job fair, is to be expected. Shoes, for both men and women. Dress shoes that are clean and polished. Gentlemen, if you've just retired from the military, do not wear your low quarters. Nobody wears patent leather shoes. Your army boots, I know they're comfortable, but please do not wear those. No tennis shoes, no Birkenstocks, dress shoes. Ladies, that 4-inch heel peep toe pump in bright pink, no. Small heel, conservative colors. I know I'm telling you something you probably already know, but you would be surprised at what I've seen at job fairs. Ladies, your makeup, conservative again. No sparkles, please. No fake eyelashes tipped with sparkly things. And if you think I'm kidding, I'm not. I've seen them. Something I shouldn't need to tell anyone is do not bring your kids. If you cannot find daycare, at least find someone, an older child, who can take your kids into a corner of that job fair. There is nothing more unprofessional than someone coming up properly dressed but wheeling a stroller with a crying infant in it. We understand that childcare is expensive, but please try really hard to find some. As for your clothes, you're thinking, I'm out of work. How on earth am I supposed to buy all these clothes? Well, if you don't have a relative who wears about the same size as you and could loan you some, Goodwill. Goodwill, thrift shops, anywhere. I found a Brooks Brothers jacket for my husband for $5 at Goodwill. It had a small tear in the seam that was easily fixed. That was a $65 jacket that I bought for $5. Go to Goodwill, take a look. You'll be really surprised at what you find. I had someone once tell me, dress as if you were going to your house of worship. And that is a good way to think of it. Remember, this is your first interview, so dress properly, don't overdress, and don't underdress. Let's talk about your job fair speech. What's a job fair speech? It's 30 seconds of you. We used to call it an elevator speech. Back in the days of the dot-com boom, when you had about 30 seconds in an elevator with the CEO and you were hoping to get him to give you tons and tons of money for your latest and greatest idea. I call it a job fair speech because this is where I find most clients working to get a 30-second piece of themselves over, because that's about how much time you have at some of these larger job fairs. You're going to need to practice this. This is not something you can do off the cuff. This is also a really good icebreaker. When you're sitting in that subsequent interview and they ask you that horrible question, so, tell me about yourself. When I get asked that, I go into complete brain cramp. I can't remember anything. This is not the time to talk about the fact that you do cat rescue, unless you're talking to a vet. This is not the time to talk about your grandkids or the great trip you took to Scotland. This is the time to make a connection of yourself with that company and the jobs that they have. It needs to be succinct. It needs to tell the recruiter what you bring to them, not what they can do for you. Stumbling up and saying, yeah, hi, I'm, Jane, and I'm like looking for a job. Whatever you've got is cool with me. That is going to create only one impression, and it's not a positive one. Your name will not stick in their minds. I've written mine down. Actually, I've written down one that I used with a client. This is a place to list your qualifications, your experience, but it's not a check-the-box kind of speech. Here's one of them. I recently graduated with a certification as a certified nursing assistant with a specialty in geriatric nursing. I worked in Green Acres Nursing Home for a year, and my internship was with General Hospital Geriatric Ward. My previous career as an administrative coordinator for a local doctor equips me to cope with administrative and clerical work in addition to patient care. I enjoy working with geriatric patients. I've also been studying yoga and exercise for the elderly to help them stay active and engaged. What you've done there is shown what you will bring to that nursing home that you're going to interview with. You've talked about your experience. You've told them you're certified, which is important. And you've also told them about something that you're doing above and beyond. This is where you're bringing in your volunteer work, volunteering doing yoga and exercise. This has given that recruiter a reason to listen to you, a reason to take down your name. If you've had to sign in with your name and your email account, you may see them put a check mark next to your name. That means they've talked to you and that you're someone that they will follow. Remember, you're going to give them that email as a follow-up. This job fair speech should be rehearsed, but not sound canned. That's a hard thing to do. And this is where you tie in with your family. You ask your spouse, your brother, your sister, your parent, anybody, to sit and listen to this job fair speech. If you're working with a career advisor, they're going to rehearse you on this. Having this in your pocket for a job fair will make you stand out. If you have to write it on your trusty 3x5 card, do it. Just don't stand there and do what a client of mine did and read it. Not a good impression. The job fair speech should also be tailored to the job that you're looking for. Some of you are probably looking for 3 or 4 different jobs. You're either looking for a clerical job, an admin job, maybe going into sales, maybe you've retrained as something else even though your past history is for a different career. Make sure that you have enough about your past, your current, and what you want to do in the future in your job fair speech to keep their interest. I hope these videos have given you some assistance in your job hunt. I hope to see you at the Veterans Job Expo and any future job fairs. Good luck.